Welcome to Potion Sword Run. In this episode, we're going to be talking about SNK, Saudi Arabia, and how my heart is broken. I didn't know. Saudi Arabia, the crown prince, the country that is probably one of the most oppressive countries in the world, owns SNK pretty much outright. They own 96% of SNK. So King of Fighters, like they just recently released a game that I was gonna get. I was gonna get an arcade stick in that game because it looked pretty badass. But if I do, now I'm supporting blood money, like 9/11 money. I'm supporting like slavery. I'm supporting abuses of human rights to the degree of max. And it sucks. It sucks that we allow foreign governments to buy up parts of our companies like this. And I understand like the open market and stocks and shit like that. But there's got to be some standards, right? Like companies that have certain amount of human rights abuses aren't allowed to do certain type of transactions like this. And the thing is, like, I know I'm talking about video games because, you know, it relates to this channel, it relates to what we talk about, video games, but it also goes for everything else. The reason why a lot of young people can't afford houses and why houses are so damn expensive is because foreign governments buy them up. Citizens from other governments buy them up. Some of them use it as investments, some because in their countries they can't really invest, like in China, so, you know, they invest in our houses and they're just there sitting. Some of them are Airbnb, some of them just they get rented out at extreme prices. It's not just China, like everybody, like foreign, like banks, big banks buy it. It's like, come on, what are we doing here? But back to the freaking, you know, subject at hand. So every SNK game from now on, like if any of us buy it, we're not complicit like in 9/11 and, you know, because all like 15 of the hijackers came from them. They were funded by people within the government and all that, you know, craziness. But it's like, why do we gotta be attached to an oppressive regime just to enjoy our freaking favorite pastimes? They don't even stop there. They own like 5% of Capcom, 5% of Nintendo. It's like they're quietly trying to just not even quietly. They know that money is Americans' weaknesses. It's like there's grovel at money. I am a self-proclaimed corporatist. I am a capitalist and I don't try to hide it. Looking all scraggly and shit. Come on, guys. Like I'm genuinely, I have no script for this. I have no, you know, I'm just letting you. I genuinely feel like conflicted and heartbroken that certain games that I buy out there are giving money to a government that oppresses its citizens, where they have no rights, where a government that murders journalists in embassies in other countries or consulates in other countries with bone saws, puts them in frickin' suitcases and brings them out. Oh, la la la, and you know, we just ignore it. Let's buy their games. Let them buy the companies. SNK, the developer from the recent, is it King of Fighters or something? He said that, you know, they're non-political. You know, they really first of all, on the developers, you know, they're from Japan and stuff. Like, they really have no say in it. You know, they're like being taken over by it because they're publicly traded. They need the money, stocks, and you know how it goes. So they just gotta pretty much keep their head down and do their job the best they can. But so you can't really blame them. But they're saying that they have they're non-political, so they don't really think about that. But that's not an excuse, you know? Like, if, for example, the Nazi regime back in Germany days, 1943-2, was buying companies and you knew of the atrocities that were going on, like we knew now what we knew then, and you still chose to work for them, I mean, you're complicit in a way. You're providing aid to the Nazi regime by working in this company that they own, you know, So, and that same hand, even though the people who work for SNK are, not the same as the people in Saudi Arabia, they are complicit in generating value for them, generating a softer look for them, covering for their human rights abuse. They say that even though they are owned, that they are not censored by them. However, that is untrue, because we know that, for example, recently a bunch of comedians went over there for the Riyadh comedy festival, ha ha ha, and they had a list of things they could not touch upon, which was a bunch of religious stuff, oppression stuff, pretty much the stuff that I'm talking to you about when it comes to Saudi Arabia. They had to put a funny face to Saudi Arabia, a good face to Saudi Arabia. So I'm sure the same thing happens for all the companies that they own. We will never see some kind of Muhammad type character in a game or anything like that. First of all, we shouldn't be, messing with religion. People, are so sensitive out there. But I'm just saying, we will never see that, or even touch around that, or even have anything in Saudi Arabia, to do with that, because you can't. Obviously, they own you. But not only that, they own freaking bone saws. Now, another example is Ubisoft. There's reports out there that Guillermo del Toro, the owner of Ubisoft, once met with MBS, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. And then somehow Assassin's Creed Mirage was made, which was based in Saudi Arabia, trying to give it a soft image around the world. And the thing is, they're targeting young people with video games. They do it in other different ways in other different places, but through video games, they're trying to target young people. So they're trying to shape the young minds of America to look at Saudi Arabia like it's just another Middle Eastern country, like that is more open to the West, like Turkey or something, even though Turkey has its problems as well. And that's the same thing they're doing with comedy. They're trying to reach a different demographic, but that's what they're doing. They're going to be doing the same thing with movies and so on. I'm not here to tell you, you shouldn't buy SNK games because, like, they make so many freaking good games. I understand it. Or Capcom games because 5% of the, they own 5% of Capcom. Or Nintendo games because they own 5% Nintendo. I'm just letting you know. I want you to be aware of where your money is going and what you're supporting. I mean, like I said, I'm conflicted with Microsoft sometimes because they help the U.S. government make bombs and shit, like guided munitions. They have some technology, and that's how they. I don't know the great specifics, but they're involved in special programs like that. Just recently, Microsoft stopped Israel from using Azure to mass collect data of all the people in Gaza or what's left of them. So I get conflicted there too, but I've bought in Microsoft stuff. I still buy some games on Microsoft because that's my system of choice right now. And I know that you look at every big corporation, and all of them have skeletons in the closets. But we shouldn't put a blind eye to that. Is what I'm saying. So you should feel bad if you do it. We're human, and if you don't feel bad and don't feel a certain way, then it's something not really in there, when it comes to humanity and empathy towards other people. But I don't want to get political, or I see a lot of Christians that are like that. I digress. I'm not cutting that shit. Staying in here. Nothing's being cut, buddy. I have my buddy right here. You want to say something? No? Okay, he's going down. Ow! He clawed me. I'm gonna leave it right there. Catch you guys on the next one. Remember, always be kind to yourself and enjoy your life. And I'll meet you right there. Peace.